Yo, my people, we live with another episode of All Black Men Need Therapy. My name is Chief.
And I'm Bell.
My name is Prentice.
And here we go. So we are attempting to move. We are not attempting. We are moving forward with the level up. So we got together and decided to meet in a formal space. Actually, our first time all together.
Ever. Yeah.
All
so
together
it's
in
a-
the
so
same
it's a big
space.
deal.
Shout
No,
out to
not-
Malcolm
not
Media,
ever.
Malcolm Sports.
Not like ever.
First time ever
It's the
recording.
first time ever recording.
Recording, yeah,
together.
yeah.
First time ever
Yeah.
recording. Yeah. Shout out to my guy, my main man,
My main
Pat
man,
Capra,
Stan.
Shout out
Malcolm
to Pat,
Sports,
man.
Malcolm Media. We appreciate
What do
it.
you say, my main man, pots and pans?
Yeah. My main man.
No
So
doubt.
we're in the studio, folks. Like, this is awesome. We started off in
the basement.
In a basement.
Moving the couch every time we recorded.
During
During
COVID, man. 2020 in the basement. Father's Day weekend was our
Was it?
first time recording. Yep.
Damn.
Father's Day weekend was our first time recording, and now we're here in Jersey City. You know,
That's
we
what's
got
up.
our guy Prentice flew in on the red eye to make it happen.
We
you
out
know?
here.
Salute to you.
Yeah.
I think we got to give ourselves a pat on the back, just a testament of moving forward and continue to push, because they say the average podcast lasts 3 episodes. And if you push past the 3rd episode, you don't make it past 20.
You
So
don't make
you
it
don't
past
make-
20?
That's most the average. If you get past that 3rd episode, you don't make it past the 20th episode.
Wow.
And this would be like
This
80,
like 80.
That's
yeah,
what I was about to say.
something
We got
like
80
that.
You know what I'm saying? So it took us a while to get here. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
y'all
saying? We didn't pop like
Thanks,
everybody
bro.
else.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
What you mean, you're welcome? This is my idea.
I named the podcast.
That has nothing to do with it. It's still my idea.
Anyway, we can agree to disagree.
We can agree to disagree. So, as usual, we like to check in and do a mental health check, make sure we all good. So, P, you just coming off a red eye, check in, yo. How
Oh
you feeling?
man, it was like I told you, my flight was cool. So when I got to my seat, I had the window seat. Like I told y'all, I had the window seat. And when I got to my seat, there was a white woman on the window seat and her husband in the middle seat. And when I got to my seat, they just kind of stared at me. So I told her that was my window seat. The husband asked me if I wanted to sit in the aisle. I said, fuck no. It's a 6-hour fucking flight. So the wife was really, really upset. She was hot about the fact that she had to get
That
out
you
of her.
wanted that you wanted your own seat.
She was
The
hot
one you
that
paid
she
for.
had to get out of my seat. So she spent the next 15 minutes yelling at her husband and complaining about how am I gonna sleep and I can't fucking sleep like this. Oh, this is. And I just got a fucking kick out of it. She was disgruntled because she couldn't sit in my seat, and then she started tapping the seat in front of her, the screen going, well, he needs to lean his seat up, and we're nowhere near close to taking off. So I just got a kick out of it. It was a good start to my flight. I slept the whole time. I woke up. She was still disgruntled. I just found it oddly satisfying. So I'm
some
here.
toxic shit.
It is probably. It is probably some toxic shit, man. It felt kind of like reparations. I think that's what it was. I think that's like my whole premise
funny.
of that shit. It kind of felt like reparations.
That's
It did.
funny as hell.
That's
So
hilarious.
That is
I'm
funny.
great, man. We're here. I'm good.
No
That's what's
doubt.
up,
That's
man.
funny. Bellhead, check in.
Yesterday I got the first bad report from my son at daycare. So my son, for y'all, he's 2 years old, 3.5 feet tall, and 50 pounds. Like, he's a big kid.
Yeah, he's
And-
a large human.
And he's aggressive, you know what I'm saying? So, like, the teacher was like, sometimes he pushes kids, and we try to get him to apologize, and sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't, or you throw a toy, we try to get him to apologize, and he doesn't. So my son is just stubborn. Like, he won't apologize. So yesterday, I was obviously on the way down here, so I'm hearing about it. So then they went to the library, and they bought rented books that were about feelings and apologizing. And then for bedtime last night, which I wasn't there, she role played. She was like, hit mommy. Then she hit her. He hit her. And then she's like, oh, that really hurt. That hurt my feelings. And then she's like, now you have to apologize, Chase. And he finally got it. And then, he was apologizing more frequently. But yeah, that's all that's been going on for me for the moment. I got a lot of change going on at work. A lot of transition. We're bringing new people on the team and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm good, man. No complaints.
That's what's up. As far as I'm concerned, My shorty turned 12 yesterday.
Oh,
man,
shit.
happy
Why'd you
birthday.
say
I
something?
did not
'Cause you're
realize
supposed to know.
that shit neither.
The
And yeah,
30th.
album
No,
supposed to know.
31st.
Damn.
30th.
30th. Yeah, today's 31st. Yeah.
So my shorty turned 12 yesterday. She hype about it. It's crazy because I'm obviously there every day and seeing the growth, but like on the birthday, it just hits you a little bit different when you got to look your shorty in the face. You know what I'm saying? And like she looked 12 now. You know what I'm saying? So
She got a couple dollars.
she
on
got
her
a couple
birthday?
dollars. She got
I'm
a
gonna
couple
have
dollars.
to-
They did
I'm gonna
a
have to
little
hit her
girly
up.
thing, which was kind of dope though. Like they have like a teenage spa type for the girls. They did the treatment for all her and her little crew. You know what I'm saying? So
That's
that
real
was-
cool. That's
Yeah,
real
so
cool.
that was kind of dope. So she was happy about that. She starts her first her softball season starts tomorrow. So I'm kind of excited about that. Get to see her do her thing.
She been practicing too, right?
Yeah,
You had her in practice.
she's been getting busy all winter. So I'm excited to kind of see it
That
go into
development.
the development, see if it go full circle. My boy starts soccer and t-ball soon. You know what I'm saying? So that should be fun. But to your point about the story about Chase, like so Mia has been having like she's like a cool girl in school.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's like the cool kid. So she's milling around in the back and she's like late to class. So teachers been sending emails like, we just want her to get to class on time. So we have a conversation, but there's been 2 instances where the story wasn't quite accurate and Mia's like, Dad, that's not what happened. It's not what happened. So I'm like, well, you need to go advocate for yourself. Like you need to speak for yourself. It can't be dad complaining on teachers. So she's been like, it's kind of cool to like watch her. She's like, Dad, I want to talk to my teacher, but how do I do it? And she basically was like, Miss, like you didn't tell my father the truth and you got me in trouble. Like I wasn't the one you closed out of your classroom. You know what I'm saying? And it was just cool to have her like, because she's real like, although she's like it's crazy because she's super extroverted but still introverted in a sense, like where she don't want to like, she's uncomfortable, I guess, starting conversations.
Yeah.
But she was like, I need to talk to her. And I'm like, it just makes me feel good because she's now starting to like fall into using her voice to advocate for herself. So, so that was real cool. So we kind of role played a little bit on the conversation she should have with her teacher. And she did it. And she said the teacher was real thankful and whatever. But she had to have 2 conversations in a week with 2 different teachers. But she like wanted to do it. So that was kind of cool.
When you said she had that conversation with a teacher, first line that went in my head was Day Day. I gotta live here. You telling my dad all this stuff, I gotta live here.
Right. So, but that's kind of like a segue into the conversation we having today. So today's conversation, fuck you, Mom and Dad.
Fucking out of here.
But that's what we gonna title it. But the more the premise, Bell, you can break down the premise what we talking
So
about.
the other day, it was a viral clip. I guess everything the Breakfast Club do is viral. But had Elliot Connie on, who's a psychotherapist, and it was I watched the whole episode. But when you initially see the clip, it's like, your kid he almost said like it's okay for your kids to disrespect you, right? Like he justified how what a kid can be, what we deem as being disrespectful actually isn't disrespectful. It's a kid finding their voice.
Yeah, being inquisitive.
You know what I'm saying? Being inquisitive.
Asking questions.
And exactly, right? So I thought that was interesting because at first it was, again, the clickbait was like, it's okay for kids to.
I believe kids should disrespect their parents.
Yeah. That's
what he
what the clickbait was. And I'm like, whoa, well, we need to dig in here. And then I watched it and I'm like, okay, it's not exactly that, but it's in the same vein. You know what I mean? So that's like, it'll be a good episode for us to talk about.
So how he validated was, like, again, the clickbait was, I think kids should disrespect their parents. And again, you're like, whoa. But the way he validated was, like, aren't we trying to raise productive and citizens who are going to use strong-willed kids who are going to use their voice? And the main place where they learn to use their voice is with their parents. You know what I'm saying? But he referenced, like, how, the way we grew up, it was do what I say, don't ask no questions.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But, like, Justice, go take the garbage out. Why you ain't asked Tip? You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I asked you. You know what I'm saying? But like
that's kids now,
right?
Right. Whereas when we grew up, there wasn't no questioning. Like
At all.
Jason Lee was like, Mom said, "Go paint the house." You know what I'm saying? It's like, go paint the house, right? Like that's it. But how kids now, they just have more access. You know what I mean?
Right. So I think, so after watching that clip, I actually played the clip with my daughter, and I think that honestly is what's inspired her to start speaking up for herself.
Dope.
Honestly, because I played the clip. I think Belle sent it like last Wednesday. I played it to her after I picked her up from school. I said, "Babe, what you think about this?" We listened to it, and I'm like, we can still raise strong, independent, self-willed people without having them being disrespectful towards you. You dig what I'm saying? So I encourage her to use her voice and so on and so forth. She like took that gem and since then has had 2 conversations with her teachers that she was uncomfortable having. And then I asked her how you feel afterwards. She's like, I felt good that like they heard me. I felt heard, and that was important to her. You know what I'm saying? Because one teacher was like, she was trying to tell her to do something. She's like, but miss, I didn't. She's like, no, I don't want to hear it. She's like, but so she went like, miss, like you want me to listen to you, but you won't listen to me.
That's
Type
powerful.
thing. You know what I'm saying? At 11.
Yeah, and that's powerful for
Dig
an
what I'm
adult
saying?
to receive from a child.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Hopefully.
Shit, that's power. Those are powerful words, even for an adult to say to an authoritative figure, right?
Right.
An adult, so an adult to an adult, but like an adult to a boss or something
Right.
like that. So for a child to do it, that's huge, man. You're doing something right over there.
Yo,
Keep up the good work.
and it's-
Yeah, bro,
I
good
appreciate that.
job.
No, because I'm fellas, because I sit back, I think it has a lot to do with the nature that I do for work. Like I have a lot of practice on
Yeah.
a daily basis
Yeah.
of navigating behavior and you know what I'm saying, and dealing with kids. So I take these gems from work and bring them home. Like and it's crazy because I'll come home and I'll be like, "Your little black ass better not ever let me catch you cursing in the hall like that." But I'm yelling at her stuff that I know ain't happening. But I'm
right.
preparing. Like, don't play with me, yo. Like don't let me hear. Nobody better ever come to me and say they saw Mr. Peterson's daughter out there. Yo, so you got this little boy who crushing on my daughter, right? But he's family to the knuckleheads that I work with. So they come and like, yo, Mr. P, my cousin bagged your daughter. Like, I'm like, yo,
chill.
yo. I'm like, yo.
Chill.
Yeah, I'm like, yo. I'm like, but they was like being a little extra with it. I wanted to slap the taste out of one of their mouths, but you know what I mean? I was like, yo, don't play with me like that. But no, it was.
Is she gonna go to the high school?
I don't know. If I'm there, she can. I don't know, because you know it ain't a bad place, bro. Like it obviously.
It's not a bad place, but the question is there a better place for her?
Probably. There
That's-
probably
you
is
know
a
what I'm
better,
saying?
especially if softball goes the way I think it's gonna go.
And I know there's pride in your neighborhood, pride in our alma mater.
But if I have a chance to get her to go better, then she's going better.
yeah,
But yeah,
damn,
so-
that would piss me off.
What's that? Oh no,
Yeah.
I was controlling myself, but yeah, they was like being, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, my little cousin might have spiced your daughter, and I'm like, yo, don't talk like that, yo.
Yeah.
Like, don't play with me like
Chill.
that. And again, they don't know any better. You know what I'm
They're
saying?
kids,
They think it's
yeah.
cool, but I'm like, I'll slap you and your father.
Yeah,
Like,
but yeah, matter of fact, get your dad down here.
Both.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Don't
Like,
talk to him.
go get your dad and come holler at me.
You know your dad?
Yeah, and it was like, my cousin. I said, you tell your cousin if you want to talk to my daughter, tell him to come talk to me. Let me meet his father, and we can have this conversation. He's like, nah, you don't want to meet his dad. I'm like, his dad don't want to meet me.
Yeah, punk ass little boy.
Punk ass
Fuck
little
outta
boy. Anyways,
Punk
so
ass kid.
I think like just to Mr. Connie's point though, like I understand his point in terms of teaching your kids to advocate for themselves and use their voice, but I think I've had a lot of practice at it, so it makes it a lot easier for me because I'm able to communicate in ways that they understand because I've had so much practice at it. You know
Yeah,
what
but
I'm saying?
devil's advocate to that, bro, it's like, I agree, and you're doing an exceptional job. But the truth is, there ain't no playbook for this shit.
No,
You know
not
what I'm
at all,
saying?
not
Like,
at all.
it ain't no playbook for parenting, man. And there's a lot of great parents out there that do everything. Like, they
It's
do the best they
crazy.
can and do what they feel is right, and shit still don't, you know what I'm saying?
And I'm
like,
deathly afraid of that.
Yeah,
But like right
yeah.
now, I'm in a good space where I have like good humans in my house.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like they're really good kids, and that makes all the difference. And like no lie, like we were talking about. I didn't answer the question in the car and get to my questions, but you've said it a while ago. Like I remember just in talking to somebody, you were like, "Yo, this cat is like a textbook parent," and that shit feels good, bro. Because I really like.
and not
like-
textbook in a way like cookie cutter, not that way, but like you listen. And yo, again, it's on the topic, right? That's one big difference from our parenting
Right.
compared to
We-
how
we
we got
were parents,
parented.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like my boy called me the other day, and we don't talk often, but every time we talk for like an hour and a half, right? And Kim, and
Okay.
and he was like, shout out to Kim, and
Shout out to Kim. I married him and his wife. Shout out to Kim.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He was like, man, our parents, like, instead of saying, like, we were like, you know, Mom, let me get these Jordans. Let me get these Jordans. And they'll say, our parents will say, you can't even take care, keep your room clean. How you gonna keep these $150 sneakers clean? How you gonna do
Sound
this?
like me.
Instead of saying, no, I actually can't afford that right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like they project something onto you, right, about what you're not doing, when the truth is they just can't afford them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then another thing that was common was I was talking to my dad about this other day, actually.
Shout out to OG.
Shout out to my dad. He just had,
he won't be at the crib. I said we gotta introduce P to OG.
nah, he just got his knee replaced.
I know you.
Yeah, he's got his knee
He's good.
replaced. Yep. I was talking about another thing Kemp said. He was like, you know, we was younger. They was talking about don't go to the military, don't go fight the white man's war, this, that. And Kim was like, yo, all my friends that went to the military, they got good ass jobs. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all these things that were taught to us, and we couldn't rebut it, right? It's like we couldn't be like, well, help me understand that. You know what I'm saying? Because the truth is, they didn't know, right? That was passed down to them. You know what I'm saying? Like my grandfather's a World War II vet. You know what I'm saying? But
My grandfather was a player.
But their experience from their experience then passed down to their kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the biggest difference.
Tuesday, 3 days ago, Justice was having some issues, so he went to Sarai about it, but it had to do with me, right? Just feeling like he wasn't being necessarily, he was being chastised or criticized a lot by me. So he communicated that to Sarai, and I had to, I went upstairs and I pulled him to the side, and I was like, yo, man, let's have a conversation. And now he's at the phase right now where when something's bothered him, I'm fine. Oh, I'm cool. I was like, what's up, man? You know, like, talk to me. Oh, I'm fine. I'm just having a rough day. And I'm like, all right, so let's time out here, man. He was like, I just don't really feel like talking. And I'm like, okay, I hear you, but we're gonna time out real quick, man. So the way I'm trying to set up this relationship we got is where we have open lines of communication, right? And I get that sometimes you may not feel confident, or he was like, I just want to have my words together before I come to you. And I was like, and so I was listening, right? And then he starts off the conversation, he goes, okay, well, I'll say something, but Dad, I just want you to listen. Because sometimes I feel like when I talk, you know, like you'll listen to me, but it always comes back on me somehow, and I feel like you're not listening. He started just getting emotional and talking about it. And for a minute, I felt the disrespect button. Because he started with, I just need you to, like, he was trying to tell me in the most polite way, please shut up and let me talk.
And hear me.
You know what I'm saying? Please. And me, not used to hearing a child, especially my child, tell me that they need me to be quiet and just listen. There was something about me that took it initially as like,
Who the fuck you think you talking to?
who you talking to?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, just off top.
That's
And I
how
had
we were
to,
raised.
in that moment, really, and this was the first time I've ever done it with him, I had to really sit there and listen to him talk. And so he talked for about 20 minutes, like just kept going. And I'm sitting there listening. I had to be mindful of my posture, because there are times when he's spoken to me and I kind of get that father kind of disposition, you know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I may have a scowl on my eyebrows, and I literally consciously had to be like, okay, relax your face, sit in, you know what I'm saying? Sit up and lean forward a little bit so he knows that you're engaged in the conversation.
Yeah.
And at the end of the conversation, I had a laundry list of motherfucking rebuttals for him. And I said, you know what? I heard everything you said, man. And I heard what you asked me before you started talking. So I'm going to take everything you said into consideration. I'm sorry if I've been making you feel this way. I'm sorry if you feel criticized here. I wanted to say, but you do the same thing every day that I'm getting on you about every day. So, you know, some of these things you may feel like I'm getting on you about, it's because they occur every 90 minutes. And for me, it gets frustrating, but I didn't say none of that. I just sat down and I listened, and I said, so I heard you, everything you said. I'll do the changes necessary to make sure you feel better and more confident about talking to me. And I definitely be mindful about, you know, my criticism and where you feel it comes in. And for a moment, he sat there like just waiting for
'Cause he's looking at you like,
me to say something
he's
else.
looking at you like,
Yeah.
where's my dad? 'Cause
Right,
that wasn't
right.
the response he was expecting.
And he got up and he left, and I had to sit there for like 5 minutes and deal with, I don't even know what it was I was dealing with internally. But it was so different for me not to have anything to say. And at the same time, I really felt like it was a challenge for me.
I can tell you
But it
this.
was merit to what he was saying then.
But I can
But it's fact in it, because I
Yeah.
had to sit there for like 5 minutes and kind of regather myself like, all right, that was different for you, P. You know what I'm saying?
I can tell you this. That conversation was so monumental because what you did non-verbally and verbally was validate his feelings.
Right.
But what you also did was create a safe space for him to talk to his father.
Boom. That's the whole point.
So now that conversation goes double. Like the next time he has an issue, he's gonna feel comfortable in sitting down and talking. So I think it's a lot about how we respond to these conversations
man.
that keeps that space safe so he can come communicate with you. Like it's and again, that's just with the practice and talking to these kids. Like I've created a space now where like, hey babe, how was your day in school? And my son will be like, I had to take a lap at recess, Dad, because I was talking in class. And kids, I wasn't going home telling my mom I got in trouble in school. If they didn't call you, it didn't happen.
No,
Right.
word,
You know what I'm saying?
word.
Oh,
and if
true.
they were gonna call you, I was trying to intercept.
Right. Let me get to
Right.
that message
Let me
machine.
get to the mailbox where you get this
Yeah.
letter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I realized in that conversation, just we was talking about this a couple of days ago about like the disrespect, how it does. My mother was like that. My mother had me building fireplaces and had my best friends painting the whole house if they came through at 12 years old. And if she told me to do it, I had to do it. And so the idea of having a child now who's coming of age to where he has an opinion, and I can see him pushing back a little bit more. Not taking that pushback as disrespect, but understanding that, like he's getting older now. He's 14. You know what I mean? So he has an opinion, and he's trying to, and I told him this in the beginning too. I'm so glad I thought of this shit. I told him he was struggling to get the words, and I said, look, dude, if you can look at me in the eye and talk to me about something that makes you uncomfortable, me out of all people, you can do this with anybody.
Right.
And that's
Anybody in the world.
And that's the homeboy's
So listen,
point.
look at me, say whatever it is you gotta say, and we'll take it from there. And he did it. So I'm hoping the other day really will fuel him to do what Mia did. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
So that's what Mr. Connie's point. Like we are the initial source where kids learn to communicate effectively.
Right.
And if he feels he can do that with you, the person he's most afraid of, he can do that with anybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But again, it's about how you responded, bro.
if
You
it
need to be-
wasn't for our conversation we had the day before this conversation about the disrespect, though, we had brought it up and was talking about it. If it wasn't for that, I don't think I would have been mindful enough.
But I also think
I
him.
don't.
I also think him taking the initiative to go speak to Sarai kind of opened your eyes a little bit. Like, damn, he went to her because he couldn't come to me.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? So
It
that
did.
shit had to jab you a little bit.
Yeah. I
what I'm
don't
saying?
like that. And even my approach, like, I almost got him like, hey, yo, come on, let's talk.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because he didn't come to me. But
Can
as soon as I got up the steps of the psalm, I was like, yo, let's have a quick conversation. Rather than, hey, yo, come here.
Because it's almost disrespectful that you don't come to me directly.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
and
yeah.
I realized through that conversation and how I had to adjust even engaging with him. I do that shit a lot to my kids.
Right.
I do that shit. That's my regular MO. If I'm feeling a certain way internally, I get this, I guess what I think in my mind is this like fatherly role that I've never even seen. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never even experienced. So, but I get this,
There's some. Keep going.
you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think that was a test and a challenge for me, which lets me know that I need to practice it more.
Do you have daily check-ins with him, or like how often do you check in?
I ask him, how was your day every day? I mean, I get him from school every day. He's talking to me way more because he's in the girls.
So another thing I saw a clip somewhere. It was like, instead of saying how's your day, you say what was the best thing that happened today?
That's good.
Yeah.
Because I always get fined from all of them.
I use what did you learn in school today? And
Yeah.
that's I get them to a lot. I'm like, and she's like, we did this. I don't care what you did. Teach me what you learned. If you can't teach me, you didn't learn it. So my kids are used to coming home, and sometimes they're gonna ask. They're like, Dad, we did fractions today. This and this is an example of it. And blah 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 blah. And it's
Like,
just
word,
cool. Like, so, you know what I'm
teach
saying?
me. I don't remember how to do fractions.
That's my
Right.
thing. So it's like, if you can't teach me, then you didn't learn it. So
Yeah.
I've made that a conscious thing now. So they know when I ask them what happened in school, they'll tell me what happened, and then they'll be like, "What?" And I learned, and they'll just start talking about what they learned. But it gets them going. But I say that because I think you need to like my shoulders are still young, but I think like having like a father-son ritual, like that conversation moment
Yeah,
would be
but-
dope. Even if it's a walk around the neighborhood every day after school or whatever, I think that should be something that allows him for you to intentionally keep that momentum of communication going.
Yeah, I think that's great. But I also think there's maybe some self-reflection. Because when you said that it's fatherly mode, this is just a question. Do you think you may suffer from like imposter syndrome a little bit?
Absolutely. Whew.
Elaborate on that, because I don't see.
He was about to till you started
So,
talking.
so you say he has a question. Elaborate on that.
Yeah, he don't think he does. He know I'm talking to you and not him.
Yeah, so
in this space, I can turn my head and look this way. So
In this space,
never-
I can slap shit out you.
that is true. In this space, niggas can get
it'd
slapped.
be the first podcast where the host got to rumble.
I think I've never thought about that. I have to. I have to because I'm constantly creating or recreating myself under an image that I've never seen.
But
I've never thought about that
but-
shit. Yeah.
Here's the deal, though, bro. Like, we just talked the episode we recorded before this. Like, one of the things that get in our way as black men is being first. And we talked about this, right?
wow.
Being first, right? You are going to be first.
Ooh.
That's.
That resonates.
I don't think
differently
we
today.
worded it like that. In the
Yeah, I don't
episode.
think you did either because that hits differently right now.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, being first is.
I might just slap him before the end.
Hey, if it gotta happen, it gotta happen.
No,
I
no,
ain't got
but
nothing to
in
do
all
with it.
seriousness, man, like, yo, bro, I struggle with that, right? Like, I feel like in some degree, every high achieving black man at some point, it's just my opinion, struggle with that being first. Because there's no blueprint,
Right.
right? There's no blueprint for parenting, but it's even less of a blueprint when you don't have like anything to measure it against.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have nothing to measure it against. But here's the beauty of that. You can make it whatever you
Freelance.
want. Exactly.
Freelance.
You can make it whatever you want. But I think sometimes, just hearing you talk, I think sometimes in your head there's an image of what
Yeah.
that person looks like. You know what I'm saying?
Or
And
of
making
who-
sure
yeah.
you measure up to whatever that is. But the truth is, that's just an image. It's not a reality.
And I'll give you one that's cold. This is the last part of that conversation I had with him. So one thing I've done since quarantine is where I got Justice full time. When he finally came from Florida, I had him full time. It's when all the kids were doing homeschooling, big transitional period in my life. During that period, in order to cope with the hourly, day-to-day, having 3 kids at that time, I became more relaxed. That's when they found out I smoke weed. Obviously, I don't smoke in front of them, but they found out I smoke weed. They had shit.
I didn't know it was a secret. Interesting.
Yeah, it was. They, and they were coming of age. You know what I'm saying? So it was a chill, but at the same time, I started cursing more. And I started cursing more because I felt like, to me, cursing was my outlet as far as parenting, right? Being able to just say fuck and shit freely, to me, which is something that I didn't do before, felt a little liberating to me, right? To the point where it became
In front of them, or like you go on the roof, smoke, and start swearing?
in front of them. It gave me a little more sense of liberation. I felt like with all the work I was doing, shit, I'm free to curse if I want to. He just told me during that conversation, he was like, and another thing that, and this has really got me, he was like, I had a whole conversation, like we've talked about it with Anaya and Tahir, and we don't like how you curse. You know, like it feels like it don't make us feel good when you be talking. And
Yo,
you
shout
be,
out to Justice,
and you be
man.
cursing.
Word.
That's dope.
Shout out to you, man. Because regardless of how this looks, that's you raising a young man who's now fallen into a vulnerable enough spaces to address these issues.
But so he says that, and again, for a split second, the initial is,
I'm the fucking
like,
dad.
I'm
Who
a
you think
motherfucker.
you think you talking
fuck you
to?
gonna tell me I can't motherfucker? You know what I'm saying? And then I had to listen to him, and now it's not just a conversation with me and him. He's telling me what two of my younger ones are saying that
Because they gonna go to him.
they gonna go to. They
Yeah.
have these conversations.
Yeah.
They have these trio conversations all the time that I'm not privy to. You know what I'm saying? So it really made me check myself, because I know for a fact that I gave myself what I thought was permission to be a little bit more liberated as far as his parenting goes, because it's so much work, only to find out that they're taking this shit as disrespect. You get what I'm saying? So this was a couple of days ago, so I haven't said a single curse word around
bro,
him.
I'm gonna tell you like this, man. That's why therapy is so important for you, right? Like, cause these are these microaggressions that are showing up throughout your household,
Man,
and
don't even realize
you don't realize it, right? And it's impacting your kids, and we all have it. So it's not like a Prentice Powell thing. Like, we all
Yeah.
have it, but the fact that the difference is some of us may not be aware based on the environments in which we display these aggressions, right? Because nobody comes forward to tell us, right? But in your case, man, you have a person that you are directly influencing, impacting for the foreseeable future, right? And him telling you that it's not just me, Dad. We all feel like this, right?
Yeah,
So
man.
it
That
needs
had to
something
punch you.
needs
He
to
said
be addressed.
disrespected.
That
Yeah,
had to
you know what
punch
I
you.
mean?
That had to hit you in the throat a different way,
It
bro.
did. He said we
Yeah.
feel disrespected.
Which is, to that, again, back to our topic, which is just crazy. Because I couldn't feel disrespected as a kid. Like,
Exactly.
Right.
and we,
Exactly.
we
So
didn't have
that's-
that luxury to
That's
feel
why the
disrespected.
initial.
You know what I'm
That's why
saying?
the way
Right.
you receive it initially.
Yeah.
You feel disrespected because you've been taught that is disrespectful.
We've been taught that y'all ain't got no feelings.
Right, or
Like,
you don't have a place for an opinion right
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
I do this, I do this, I do that. You
Right.
know what I'm
Right,
saying? So
right.
to hear your kids talk like that and me to have an actual desire to be better, it really makes me check my reality. So for the past couple of days, that has been on my brain, like, I mean, singed. You know what I'm saying? And I
Oh,
found
for
myself
sure.
going, what the? Damn.
Yeah.
So I've made it it's weird because I cuss all the time, but I've made it a point to not cuss at my children.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really I try very I don't. It might have happened like twice. Like I really don't cuss at my kids, but my daughter actually expressed the other day that somebody spoke to her like that, and she wasn't happy.
Right.
Somebody like who?
Her mom.
And
She
I'm
wasn't happy.
biased. I won't never curse at Naya, but them boys,
Oh, they get it.
and
Yo,
that's not cool.
I wanted to.
You get what I'm saying? That's not okay.
They have because when you mention these like they have the sessions, the brother sibling conversation, and they talk about it, but you don't know. I was watching well, I don't know what it was, but it was a woman talking to her dude, and it was like, we got to have these difficult conversations. The question she asked was, how can I love you better? And he went on a rant about things that she could do and improve, and it was like she had to sit there and eat that, and it wasn't nothing outrageous, but
Damn,
I
that's
think
good.
that'd be a great question to ask your kids as they're all together. You know what I'm saying? Just to kind of see
I'm gonna ask them
what
individually.
what they would say. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can I love you better?
I'm gonna ask
But
them
if you ask them
individually.
as a group, they may have more encouragement to say what they really feel.
Right, because they got each
Yeah,
other to
strength
support.
in
They
numbers.
bounce off of each other now. Oh, Tip said this. Oh, okay, I'm brave enough to say this now. You know what I'm saying? And Anaya,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Because when baby girl say something that's outrageous, because she's probably the most outspoken, because she knows she's the favorite per se. You know what I'm saying? So when she say something, the boys gonna be okay. Naya jumped off the cliff. I'm,
Yeah,
you know,
you gotta
I'm,
have her back.
Yeah, I'm going up top on them. Yeah. So with that, have you personally ever disrespected your parents?
Not directly. Having kids at 15 ain't necessarily respectful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I have.
But I haven't intentionally and or directly disrespected my parents. Like, I was in jail at 12. So again, Prentice got.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go
man,
ahead.
I'm thinking of my dad, man. Like a couple years ago, when I finally told him how I felt about his absence and his apparently he's had a problem for about 15 years of the poem that I wrote about him, but never said anything. We got to a point of conversation where he was threatening to kill me and all this shit. And it was probably the funniest, most disrespectful thing I've said. So, he was burnt in the fire when I was 11. So, third-degree burns on 98% of his body. My sister's mother's had some cat set his house on fire while he was drunk. So when he
Damn.
went, yeah, there's a lot. Damn, that's another thing that I haven't really thought about that I need to deal with. And that affected my relationship with my little sisters because their mama did that shit to my dad. But anyway, he went to touch the doorknobs and they were hot. So when he touched the doorknobs, his fingers melted together. So my dad it's all covered in skin. It's like this. It's like his hands are like this, but it's just skin. It looks like stumps, right?
So he can't move his fingers?
He doesn't have fingers anymore. It
Oh,
literally
wow.
looks like kind of like his hands have been amputated, but it's literally the skin, and they couldn't save the fingers or part them or anything like that.
Wow.
So they're like stumps. So he's always had to use devices. He loves Cadillac, so he got this little hook-like thing that lets him steer the car, and with a fork, it goes on here, so he has to eat like that. So he was, I'll fucking kill you. I'll fucking. I'm like, nigga, with what? You ain't got no motherfucking fingers. How you gonna fucking shoot me? What you gonna do? Kick a bullet at my ass? So we was at the peak, and so I think that was some of the funniest shit I ever said. It was disrespectful as hell, but it was
Yeah, it
funny,
was.
man. It was funny. So yeah, I've disrespected my parents. My mom one time, and I remember I don't know what I was going through. I was probably about 16, and I think I came in the house, and she said something, and I was hot, and I gave her one of them stare downs. Like that.
A nonverbal disrespect.
Yeah, that'd have been teeth. On the
Yeah,
kitchen
yeah.
floor.
And then I snapped out of it, and I got away with it. But that's
I think I was going through some turmoil with one of my kids' moms, and I was just stressing, and she was like, my mom was kind of like taking their side, And I was pissed, and I remember like just having a conversation. You don't even like. I just remember cursing at her, and I was like, "Yeah, I can't. You probably should never do that again." But I don't think I have anything outside of.
How about your dad?
Being pissed. I was waiting for this. I was gonna say it earlier because you mentioned a couple times about your dad. I'm like, I'm surprised this cat didn't interject a dad joke. You know what I'm saying?
You know that shit was coming.
It's crazy. I talked about him yesterday. I actually asked. Yesterday was the first time I think I can consciously remember asking about him.
To who?
One of my aunts called. Both of my aunts called me. My dad's sisters.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, how is he?
And that's different.
Wait, is he in New York?
He is. I don't know where he is, but he's good according to her. So I don't know where he is.
Yeah. He in New York. Let's call him.
Yeah, so what's funny? What's funny is I don't know if you're not on Facebook anymore, but I don't know if you posted on Instagram. But Javon Johnson posted that his pop passed away.
Shout out to Javon, man.
Shout out to Javon. His pop passed away, and he wrote this big thing about he wasn't sure how he felt.
When was this?
This was like maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe not even. And he was like, his biological dad passed away, and like he was just like, I don't know how I'm feeling about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy he's at peace, whatever. But it was a nice little excerpt, and I'm like, yo, I would love, like, as selfish as this sounds, I really do hope you're well, but I would love to break this down with you because I've had that conversation in my head, like, God forbid it happened. Like, I don't know how I would respond.
I
don't know I don't know how that would impact me.
I wonder about that every day.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, the fact that you don't know how lets me know it impacts you.
Right, but I just don't know what it'll be like.
But what I'm saying is there's something there that I don't want to say needs to be addressed. I could say could be or can be addressed. You know what I'm saying?
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that.
I don't know. Yeah, there is. I think about that all the time. My concern, and it is a concern in a way, and it's reasonable. My concern is that I really am okay with it.
Okay with what?
My father passing. My concern.
Yeah, but you say that, but until it happens, you don't know.
That's the thing. That's what they say. My concern is that I will be so okay.
Remind me to show you the post that he wrote, and it like the way he worded it was kind of like, I can't. I want you to read it though, but it hit me a different way, and it made me.
Your kids know your dad?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So he's in their lives.
He was when my mom was bringing them around him.
Oh, but now that you're.
But that was years and years ago too, though. But yeah, they're familiar enough. He was around enough, and my mom had them around him.
My daughter thought my mother's husband was my father. My mother's husband, French Canadian, older white dude.
Yeah.
She was like, "Pappy's not Daddy's father."
Wait, how does this work?
Yeah, like had no
connect
clue
the
for a
dots?
while. Yeah. So my daughter doesn't even like. I don't think she's ever even asked, but I don't think she knows she has like a grandfather on my side. Like she knows, but you know
The crazy shit is she looked like your dad.
Yeah, she do.
Wow.
That's because their complexion is closer.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
You know
her complexion is definitely like my
you and
father's
hers.
for sure.
You and hers, or his and yours.
So reverse it now. Have your kids ever disrespected you?
Yo, Chase disrespect me all the time, yo.
It's two. He don't count.
Yeah, nah.
I be sometimes, man. That motherfucker, man. He be trying me sometime, man. Like he really be trying me. But Bree, she never disrespected me, but she's gotten loud before, but she's never gotten loud in person. Like she knows how far to go, cause she's emotional. Like I was talking to her yesterday, right? She was like, "Dad, G-Ma told me you going to record in New York tomorrow." I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, you know what that lets me know? That lets me know I've been talking about myself too much every time we talk. She's like, I suffer from main character syndrome sometimes. I'm like,
Shout out to Suge, man.
Yeah,
Shout out to
she's
Suge,
like,
man.
I'm sorry. She was like, I'll do better, because we speak every day. Lead up said, and she didn't. I didn't talk to her about this because she got so much shit going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We've been talking through. So
Shout
anyway.
out to Suge, man.
But no, I've never been disrespected. Like not
She's a
not
really
like
good
fuck
girl.
you, Dad. Like never nothing like that.
So we talking about young kid disrespect. My son is like 3. We had my grandmother's 80th birthday party. He running around with the kids, having a good old time, but he's doing like this. And I'm like, Major, stop. He stops for a minute, runs around, keep doing it. I'm like, Major, stop. So then I get close, and he does. I'm like, Major, stop. And he does it again. So I pop him in his lip, like, stop. Fucking pop me back in mine.
That's where you gotta make a
popped him in
quick
his mouth.
decision.
He popped me back in mine. I tore his little ass up, but that's the last time I had to like pop him.
That's funny.
So that's the only
That is
disrespect. Like, but
funny.
it was hilarious. Like it was a situation where I just had to laugh, but
Yeah.
And whoop him.
I didn't get him. I had to get him, but I haven't had to get him since. So that's the good thing about it. But yeah, so that's the close thing I've come to like to disrespect. My Mia's deathly afraid of me, and the baby's deathly afraid of me too. So they're pretty good. But
Yeah, ain't nobody
outside of
disrespecting
that,
me.
that's funny.
Yeah, see, like the thing though, like with in terms of like the Breakfast Club interview, I don't know that these kids are disrespectful. I look at like these fuckers are like reckless. Like some of the shit that these kids do is kind of reckless. Like,
But can we count it? Because it's not a conscious decision right now. When you start to make the conscious decision, we can define it as reckless. I mean, we can call it kids being kids. No, I mean, again, Chase is what, 2?
I'm not. I know. I'm talking about like adolescence.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah. I'm talking.
Yeah,
I'm talking about adolescence. I'm talking about like based on the interview and everything like that. That brought the big picture. Like in terms of kids can disrespect their parents. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if it's disrespectful. I think some of the shit is reckless. Because bro, in addition to us new age parents having higher EQs, right, than our parents.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, these kids have access, bro.
Yeah.
Like
To everything
everything.
at all times.
Everything.
yo, I mean, if we wanted to know something, bro, we had to read the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah.
Britannica.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hella books.
When the last time you saw an encyclopedia, bro?
Not been a long time. But you know, I think it's also important to what we take as disrespect, you know, like matters. Justice last year he was going through his like he was just trying to find himself. He was the new cute kid, the tall, light-skinned kid at school who all the girls liked, didn't know how to handle that, hanging with cats who was smoking vape pens. And one time we went into the grocery store, and I don't know what he was thinking, but he decided to try to steal like a protein bar. And when we came outside, I realized that he had it. And my whole thing was more so, how can you steal in front of me at the store with your father, out of all things? And that was the that was like the primary concern for me. That's what bothered me most. Not the lesson in me realizing that, yo, he's in a space right now where he's making decisions that just are harmful, period, regardless of who he's around. So I think sometimes it's important for us as parents to recognize that, you know, we have certain things we take as disrespect, but what is the overall message? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the overall issue here? What should we be tackling? How we feel about it, or what's going on with our child?
So are you conscious of, so in that moment, was it more of an emotional, angry response, or did you take time to teach the lesson? Because I think that.
Nah, it was an emotional response about how were you stealing in front of me, and you're stealing protein bars.
so what if he said
everything but what I think I should have really focused
So
on.
that was, again, what I was talking about at the beginning, how just dealing with these kids a lot. Like, one of my main things is these kids get barked at all the time. So I
Yeah.
can't bark. So I take that lesson home, and I really try to, like, when it's crazy because I'm different. Like, when the big things happen, it's a lesson, and it's trying to teach and make sure they don't do that again. I'm really big on playing on my kids' emotions. Like, how do you think what you did impacts me emotionally? Like, how do you think that made me feel? And how does it feel to know that you made me feel that way? And that's how I get them to correct their behavior, rather than you know, you shouldn't have. You know what I'm saying? And,
you bark at him too, though.
but it's not a yelling. It's the dad voice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
you don't yell.
it's the dad voice. You know what I'm saying? But I don't have to.
Yeah.
I did. Yo,
And I think I've normalized that frustration. and
people
shit.
people will call me crazy when my shorties was like birth to like 2, and people might laugh and call me fucked up, but I would go in the room when they were sleeping and be like, "Hey," and they'd wake up crying, and I'd hold them and put them back to sleep. I swear,
you on some
That's
other
some of the
Listen to
most
me.
narcissistic shit
that's
I've ever
not-
heard in
Listen
my
to me.
life.
That's
I
not
swear to
healthy,
God,
but that's
we
not
go to a
healthy.
park with 1,000 kids. I scream my kid's name, everything stop, and they find their father. I'm like convinced that was the way to train them.
That's exactly what you did, is convince yourself. 'Cause that
Traumatizing
shit
the
is
shit
cruel
out
and
of me.
unusual punishment.
That's
Like-
hella fucked up.
The fuck? Go
Yo.
wake your kids about the.
I'm
Anyway,
so-
yo, real quick, what if Justice, when you said that to him, you was like, you gonna steal that in front of your father, and what if he was like, but Dad, if I stole this in the grocery store in front of you and you didn't see, doesn't that mean I'm really good at this?
That would have been a great break in the emotion because I'd have had to laugh. Like, you know what?
Like,
It does mean you're pretty good at this shit, but you better not do that shit again.
That's
I
funny.
got a real talent.
So on the flip side, fellas, have you ever disrespected your kid?
See, this is interesting. This is interesting because I guess it's context is relative, right? Because Justice Fields Prentice disrespects him, right? By the way he talks and things like that, right? So the short answer is I'm sure I have. That's the short answer. Have I deliberately disrespected my kids or intended to disrespect my kids? No. Like, my intentions were never to disrespect my kids, but I know I've done things that they felt disrespected. Well, Brianna, because Chase is, you don't know what we don't know.
I can't know. I mean, I think my sentiments are probably the same with you,
Yeah.
but I can't like. I'd have to like ask them. Like, I don't really think they're. I mean, mine are 12, 8, and 4, so I don't really
That's
know.
the
But
thing,
I'd
though.
have to ask them and be like,
Because you didn't, again, same thing. You didn't, if you did, you didn't intend to do it.
Right,
It's
that's what I'm
like, because
saying.
we know, like, as men, like, when we do some disrespectful shit, but we don't ever have that feeling with our kids, but it can be received
right,
as disrespect.
right. So
You
I
know
think
what
I'm gonna
saying?
ask that question because I don't. Off top, I can't be like, that might have felt like disrespect to them.
Oh,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
I mean, that's also open up Pandora's box, too.
Ask
Mine
that
comes
question.
from emotional
Have I ever
space.
disrespected you?
Yeah, but I mean,
Like,
it's
actually,
good for
Dad-
great conversation though. Like now, again, I'm big on playing on emotions. So if they're willing to tell me that, then we can figure out. You know what I mean?
I just got to say this. Like, this is pissing me off. Like,
What?
the whole playing on their emotions, all. Because
that's-
you do. I'm not saying you don't. I'm not saying you're lying. But it's like somebody listening to this, like, oh, wow, all Chief does is talk. No, he beat them kids, too. Like,
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true at all.
he's
Look
not
in the camera.
just-
That's not.
He's not just
That's
having
not.
straight conversations.
That is not, yo.
with these
I
kids,
popped
man.
Major at one time. I popped me at one time.
Oh,
and that was
my
it.
God.
Yeah,
One time in their
I'm
life.
fucking
And I
around.
ain't had to
I'm
get the
fucking
baby.
around.
Yeah, I don't put my hands on them.
Nah, I definitely same thing with Bree, the same level of quote unquote corporal punishment. Like, I would just flick him. Like, that was it. Like, that all I gotta
That shit hurt till
and I don't even
Tuesday.
gotta flick Chase now. I just gotta start counting down and he'll start coming. But that's all I've ever done.
That nigga- Don't listen to him. That nigga Chase be testing him. He be like 3. Chase be like
Nah, that's a fact.
2.
What you gonna do?
He get him with the 1.5.
Nah, what it is
Niggas
3,
start
he
coming.
don't move on 3. He don't move on 3. 2, he'll do a gesture making it look like he coming forward, but he'll be in the same spot. And then he be trying to bargain and reason, you know what I'm saying? On 2. And as I'm getting to 1, he'll make his way to me. You know what I'm saying? But
He testing his limits.
he be testing me, man.
So P, have you I mean, outside of the unconscious disrespect, have you, like, is there a moment you can reflect back on, like, you know what, that was probably disrespectful?
Yeah, I think my biggest thing right now is emotional control, man.
For yourself?
Enhancing my emotional control and intelligence, because when you ask that question, I think of moments where I'm emotionally charged, right?
Right.
And I think that with processing my childhood trauma, it's made it worse as far as my release to my children. I think there's been times where I've been dealing with things internally. Like, I know for a fact about how my grandmother treated me. My mom's mom, she was mean as fuck to me. Used to put eggshells in my eggs, make me eat cereal with
crazy
water
to me,
while my
bro.
sister had milk in her cereal. Like, fucked up shit. There was a time where I was processing that, and I found myself thinking about how mean she was, and I found myself being meaner to my kids.
Yo, I'm not gonna front, like, I don't know if you heard, like, that angst and, like, that anger in his voice. Like, that shit is rooted, bro. Like, that fuck was very sincere. Like,
What fuck?
we need
Yeah,
we
exactly.
need to deal with that. Just
Exactly.
now.
Exactly. He don't even know. My
Yeah,
point, he
nah,
didn't even pick
like
up
your
on it.
whole energy shifted just now. Like, if we'll play it back and you can look at it.
That's cool.
In telling that story, your whole energy shifted.
Yeah, she was mean as fuck, man. She was hella mean. And so when I think about it, I think during processing that time, I literally found myself being meaner to my children. Just meaner to my kids. And I knew I was doing it, but I felt like, and I feel like I knew where it was coming from too. I knew I was processing that in the moment, but it took some work to I don't even know. Well, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, it's taking work. It's taking work.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I would argue that the work really hasn't even started yet. I would argue that.
Identifying it, nah. I've found myself putting in work to take care of
Yo,
it.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Prentice. You know what I think you do?
What?
I think you do enough to convince yourself this is enough. I don't need to do anymore. When it comes to dealing with childhood trauma, that's why you don't go to therapy. Because you,
Yeah, I think it's so much right. It's so much right now, even.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
But
it's
but-
so much right now without the professional assistance.
But here's the thing though, bro. It's always gonna be so much. This shit's not going away, right? I always say, even the best relationships, friendships, marriage, whatever, take work, right? Like, if you obviously you're married, like, great relationships are still hard, right? They still take work. Like, it's different work. It's not like I got to learn not to disrespect you. It's like I may have to learn how to communicate with you better. Right?
Yeah.
I may have to learn how to be more in tune with your feelings, shit like that. But what I'm saying, P, is it's never gonna not be something you're working through, right?
Yeah.
So getting help will only enhance the lessons and what you're learning and how to cope and how to deal with it. Because I'm telling you, bro, you, of all of us, you have the most, and probably because you're probably the most vulnerable out of all of us, I would agree. Like in terms of your emotional availability, right? Like I feel you're definitely more than me. This motherfucker's emotional too, but you're definitely more than me.
Yeah, I'll take the cake on him too.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen how
But that's
he
what I'm
handles
saying.
some
But
of
you,
his shit.
but you are special in that regard, and I think sometimes unconsciously you vocalizing it, like, well, I'm saying this out loud, I'm acknowledging it, I'm working on it. That's enough.
That's enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we were having this conversation or if I was having it with someone else, but I acknowledged that very recently that I do some work and get to a point where
It was us, yeah.
It was where
Yeah.
where you think you're okay. You know what I'm saying? Like you feel because you've reached some type of breakthrough, even if it's just acknowledgement. You know what I'm saying? And that acknowledgement has you processing shit in your head, and then at some point in time, you no longer find yourself processing as much. So you feel, I'll feel like I'm okay because it's not as constant of a thought as it was last month. You know
So-
what I mean?
So do you want to tell the viewers and the people in the room why you keep lying to your friends, telling them you starting therapy and haven't? 'Cause I'm starting to take it personal.
Nah.
I'm sensitive as fuck.
He is sensitive.
Because I take steps. I signed up, and then I didn't take that last step to actually solidify
That speaks to what I was saying.
the therapist.
You do enough to say you did something.
That may be what it is.
So-
That may be what, and I know the biggest part of it for me is that with the self work I've done, the magnitude of how much it impacts me is, it's fucking too much, to tell you the truth. Like it's
Yeah.
a lot on a
Which is-
daily basis.
Which
So
is why we recommend therapy.
yeah.
So I want to be clear and put this on the air in front of our people and our new audience in the room. I'm taking it personal, and I feel like you're lying to me, and I don't like it.
I don't lie to you.
This is your narcissism coming up again, Chief. Like like I told you before, you being upset won't matter. Like it won't. Like not to.
I get the message.
You know what I'm saying? But
Understood.
it's like that he don't give a shit about that. He got his wife telling him he need to go to therapy and he ain't moving. You know what I'm
Understood.
saying? And it's like his kids in so many words is telling him he need to go to therapy and he ain't
That's
moving.
what it is.
Understood.
I think that's the most impactful part now. Like that conversation with Jess and him telling me all three of them are having these conversations and taking shit as disrespect. I'm like, I can't keep doing
So-
this shit.
To kind of stand on my point, I've had the same friend since I was 15 years old.
That's hard.
Maybe even older than that, like maybe younger than that. Think about it. My crew is my crew. And that's,
Yeah.
my crew is, I've had the same friends the whole time. Haven't let anybody into my circle but Prentice Eugene Powell since then. So I think it's just me. Like I have a foundation
Oh, I
of
see what you're
solid
saying. I see what you're
core.
saying.
Like, I'm not saying you're lying to me. What I'm saying is like if he tells me he's gonna do something, it's never a second question in my head.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Because of who he is to you.
Because of who he is to me.
Right.
And I guess that's what I'm
I
saying.
appreciate that context. So I take back the narcissistic comment.
Yeah.
That makes more sense now.
Nevertheless, so Bell, you had a question, and it was: is respect measured the same today as it once was? And you had a pretty decent response. Did you
Yeah,
want to
man.
elaborate on
I
that?
don't think so. I don't because everything we talked about, man. I don't think so, man. Because you couldn't. So think about it. What was considered disrespect back in the day? Asking a qualifying question
Was
Was
disrespectful.
Right.
A very
right?
valid
Like,
one too.
like I'm just trying to better
Like, yo,
understand
A
like, what you're
legit,
asking
I just
me
wanna
to
a
do.
know.
legit
You know what
qualifying
I'm saying?
question.
Like that's it. Like I know you want me to take the trash out. Like, does that mean right now? Do I have to the end of the day? Like, that's a qualifying question.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Do
Like,
what the fuck I said.
yeah,
Do.
exactly. Don't be back talking to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think
Paint the house, but where the paint at?
Yeah.
Don't ask me no more
yeah,
questions.
right. It's like, and that's my only thing, man. It's like, it can't be for that reason. I don't personally feel it can be for that reason because there's kids again, like take the trash out, Justice or Tip, take the trash out. Tip can get on the computer and be like, what's the appropriate age when a child should take the trash out? You know what I'm saying? And he come back like that, according to Google.
I have 11. I got a year and a half left.
Yeah, I'm not of age yet,
Right.
right? I'm not of age, right? This could be child neglect and abuse, right? So it's just more access, bro. Like it's more access, it's more information. It's and not for nothing, like because of that, kids are smarter. You know, like you think about how we were raised and where we got our information from. Like our information came from our surrounding, right? So now it's like they can get information from Bangladesh.
Like as long as you've learned how to read, like the rest is easy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can Google anything you want to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And learn it all online.
And in the world is such a free for all too. You know, like the concept of respect. I mean, there's so many things to respect or not to now. You know, there's so many options.
Yes,
I feel like.
yes, I know exactly what you're saying.
So society has placed respect on a whole different level. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you got people advocating for certain rights, and you got people fighting against them.
Right.
You know, there are certain people who stand on principles they've had their whole life that don't harm anybody else, and sometimes that's not respected.
Yo, I read somewhere it said the all tradition is you allowing dead people to bully you.
I heard that. Recently.
Like I'm like, but think about it. Like that's some of the disrespect comes from old belief, an old belief system, right? I was talking to somebody recently, and per their faith, it's like against their religion for anybody to be a member of the LGBTQ plus community, right? And I'm like, well, what would happen in that case? And they're like, well, they would basically get disowned. I'm like, holy shit.
Wow.
Like, you would disown a child? Like a child. So, but that's religion, right? That's tradition, that's all these things. But that child is going to be disrespected.
Absolutely.
Right? And the parent may look at it like, you're disrespecting me
Yep.
by choosing to participate in this. Which is just, but again, that's the other thing. Like, you couldn't be gay when we was growing up. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't not outwardly, not outwardly, right? Like it was so tough, right? Which is more along the lines of like, no, that's not an option for you, right? Like, you know, you come in this house, this is how you gonna be. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, damn, so much for freedom of choice, right? Like freedom of self. Like so anyway.
I try to show respect in that context. I've had that conversation with my kids, mainly Justice. And, you know, the one thing I tell him is, look, I'm going to love you regardless. And this is what I told him in the conversation, too, because he told me, man, he said so much in that conversation. He was like, sometimes I feel like with the things you get on me on, and again, I wanted to let him know, but I just listened, that nothing I'm doing is good enough right now. And I'm like, you know, in my heart, I'm like, oh, fuck, this shit is killing me. And I had to tell him, like, listen, there's not a single thing I need you to change from this day. Who you are right now, today, in this moment, will always be enough for me. Always be enough. So when I get on you, you know, I wanted to say, so when I get on you about grades and these F's and these D's, That's not about you not being good enough. That's about you not being your best version of yourself.
Yes.
You know, but I didn't even get to say that because I thought about what he said. He just wanted me to listen in the beginning.
Yeah, there's a. If I find it, Prince, I'm gonna screenshot and send it to you. It's a like the executive team that we work with, the coaching. There's a proper way to take feedback, right? He was giving you feedback,
Yeah.
right? When you're receiving feedback, that's not the time to give feedback,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's basically the time. Listen, now all the things that you said, I'm sure they have merit and I'm sure they're valid. You find another time to talk
Right.
about that, right?
Yep.
Because the other thing that's for all of us, we all have black boys, right? The other thing you got to think, I'm sure you know, like you, and we all have to think about and be cognizant of that our kids will not be. They don't know about that world that's out there, right? That we're preparing them for, but they don't, because they have a bubble,
Yeah.
right? They're
They do,
protected.
but they don't.
Then they do though. But so
But-
when you're trying to, when he's like, I feel like nothing is right because you're constantly checking him on these little things only to help prepare him for the world he's unaware of.
But he's not there yet, so you can't just stay firm in that I'm just preparing him. Well, it's just tough. You're just gonna have to take
No,
it. It's, you know
no,
what I'm saying?
but
You can't do that.
You can't, but you can have a conversation,
Right.
right? It's
Right.
like,
So
And that's the difference. There's a difference between having a conversation and just expressing your ideology through whatever emotion you're currently feeling. You get what I'm saying?
Is
I
the
do.
age the difference in that? Because we talked about Big Baby yesterday, so my adopted kid,
Yeah.
and I'm having those same conversations. And he kind of feels the same way, but it's like, yo, you're not 14. You're about to be 20.
I think there's a difference. Hell yeah.
You
there's
know
a
what I'm
difference in
saying?
age.
Like, I can't keep saying, like, at 14, I can be patient. I can have these conversations. But you're about to be 20. I can't. I've been saying the same thing for 5 years now. The
Yeah,
exact same thing.
but what I think with him specifically, it's falling on deaf ears now because he hears it from you so much. Like Prentice could come through, say the exact same words verbatim,
It's gonna resonate.
and he'd be
differently.
like, oh my God,
But
I never heard that before.
it's the craziest shit because we'll have a conversation and he'll send me a snippet from like Dion talking or the Breakfast Club interview or something, and I'm like, I literally just said this to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's where you gotta I'm
Pay
not saying
attention
you-
to
No,
how.
I don't
Yeah,
respond to it.
yeah.
Like I'm just like I didn't like it or whatever, but I'm like,
But
I-
that's-
like,
yeah,
we just
but-
had this conversation.
'cause
That's
that's-
telling you some things though too. You know what I'm saying? I think that's telling you how he's getting his information and how he's sourcing it to you, and that may be telling you that there's a different way to connect with him. Maybe it may, I don't know what the hell it is, but I think there's a sign in that.
So he just again, it's falling on deaf ears. And he kind of hears what we want to hear and take it how he wants to take it. But my thing is in the action behind it.
Here's what I told my daughter, right? We had went through this whole thing. She didn't want to go to UConn. She wanted to go to URI. She didn't get into URI, but she got into UConn. And I explained to her it's a superior school. You're good, right? URI is like a couple steps above a junior college. Anyway,
Beat the shit out of them in high school.
Congratulations, bro.
Chief went to
That's
URI,
what
ladies
it
and
is.
gentlemen.
So
I
it
went to
was,
UConn.
and they didn't win.
Anyway, so she wanted to go and she threw this whole tantrum, right? Because she got into UConn, but she didn't want to go. I think she didn't want to go because I went there, Lo went there. Like she wanted to create her own way, which I understood. And I'm like, Brie, I get it. Like, cool. Like, go to another school. I don't need you to go to UConn. Long story short, she goes to UConn and she goes to the summer program and she comes home on a weekend and she's like, I'm not going back. Because she was just so pissed. Like, she was just angry and emotional. She said, I'm not going back. I'm like, cool. She was like, you're not going to ground me? You're not going to, like, something like that. I'm like, Bree, check this out. You're 18 years old. There's no grounding I can give you that will be worse than what society does to you for this decision you're about to make. So, if you want to stay, stay. If you want to go to community college, that's going to save me a shit ton of money. Like, I'm actually encouraging that at this point. But I know what's best, but you're an adult. You do what's best for you. And you have to now deal with the everlasting consequences as a result because I can't protect you anymore. Right? You in my house, you under 18, I can protect you from most things. Now, this decision this is on you. So that's what I be trying to tell you, Big Baby. It's like nothing you're going to say will humble him more than life.
Yo.
Right? Like,
And
it's
that's
just not.
what we're trying to protect him from. And so I feel like now I'm coming into this space where I'm gonna have to identify the balance between I think this definitely happens in parenting where your children may feel disrespected, but it is absolutely imperative the lesson. Whatever lesson you got for them is imperative, right? Like you want them to get it. They're going to need this lesson at some point. So at some point in time, they may have to sit in what they feel is disrespect in order for you to communicate the lesson and them to get it. And I think there's a balance in that between that situation and when the disrespect can be taken in. You get what I'm saying? Where you actually got to check yourself and kind of assess the situation because of their immaturity where they're not at mentally. You know what I'm saying? They may take certain things as disrespect. You know what I mean? Like, just got a C minus in some grade, and he was really upset that I wasn't happy about the C minus because the C minus was a passing grade. Right. And I acknowledged it was a passing grade, but yo, bro, this ain't acceptable. This ain't good enough. Your standard is going to be A's and B's. Now, if you don't meet it, we have to keep trying. Right. But your standard, you're not meeting your standard. And so he's taking that a little as, it's not good. I tried though, Dad.
Another way to ask that question, I just finished this book. I'm on my shit too. I'm on my 5th book for the quarter right now.
Said that.
I read this book, Mindset. It talks about fixed mindset versus growth mindset. And they talk about kids. Kids think that what they say is some of the most damning things that you can do to a kid is talk about how great they are, right? So another way to have that conversation per the book is like, okay, did you work the hardest you possibly could to get that C minus? Mm-hmm. Right, and be honest. Did you how much time did you spend to get the C minus? Mm-hmm. Well, I only spent this. Okay, so what would have happened if you spent this much time? Right, that's all I want. I want you to work hard at it.
And that is my issue with Big Baby. Anytime he's decided to lock in and do what he's supposed to do, he has achieved the results he's wanted. And somewhere along the line, life happens in some way, shape, or form, and it's the end of the world for him. Regardless of how big or minor situation is.
That's like me.
Yeah, yo, that's another
Remember
thing.
Like last month. That's like me sometimes. I get there too. To be the end of the world in the moment.
See, I'm two things. One, Bree's like that too. You know what I'm saying? But Bree has me. Mm-hmm. So Bree's so funny. Like
she's hilarious.
She was telling me the story the other day. She's like, Dad, you know when I realized I had to stop calling you for stuff? She was like, I was in the store, she was in college. She's like, I was in the store with my friend. And I saw these 2 shirts, but I wasn't sure what size I should get. And I told my friend, I'm going to call my dad and ask him.
That's dope to me.
And she's like, her friend was looking at her like, what does your dad got to do to help you with this situation? Like, the shirts are in your hand. Like, try these shits on, right? But I say because I think kids, dude, somebody has said something to me recently. If you think about Justice, Bree, that generation, like, we've literally been at war as a country since they've been born, right? Like, there's been like all kinds of crazy shit going on in the world that they've had to endure. Whereas like with us, like, we were isolated, and now they're exposed to everything, man. All these school shootings, all this stuff that plays on their emotion. COVID, right? Like, our kids had to go to school through COVID. Like, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, Bree fortunately graduated in 19, so she didn't experience it. But my point is, they had to deal with a lot of outside influences. I would argue more outside influences than we had to deal with, which could trigger that emotion and all those things, right? But that's the first thing. The second thing, I'm not wired that way. Like, I think the kids today, they have outlets. They have resources, right? Which is basically the big topic of the episode. And as a result, they don't have to endure it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have to endure it. There's an outlet. They could do something. They could, you know what I mean? Which is another episode we're going to talk about after this. But I don't know. It's just, that's my 2 cents on that.
No doubt. So I think we went all over the place today, man. I think it was a real good conversation, fellas. I feel like I got, so you see me, I was sinking down in the chair and whatnot, but I appreciate the conversation. I think it was a lot of nuggets in here we can take. You know what I'm saying? Especially as parents moving forward with our kids. I think that's really dope. Let's close it out like we always do, man. Bellhead, final thoughts.
Ooh. It's like I knew this question was coming, but I didn't think about what my final thought was going to be. Final thoughts, man. I'm grateful for this episode. This is the first episode. Like I said, we've all been together recording. in a professional studio, and so that's my final. Like that's one of my final thoughts. Like I'm just grateful, right? That's one. Two, there's no playbook for this shit. Like I said, for this parenting stuff, man. I think the more we can learn, and the more we can listen, right? Like the more we can listen. Somebody said to me the other day, you either win or you learn, right? And that to me
I like that.
is important, man, because sometimes these kids be knowing, bro. They be knowing, man, and we can't have. This is my final thought. We can't have too much of an ego to not listen,
Yeah.
right? Because as a parent that was raised in the 80s and 90s, we look at that as, nah, you're not about to win this. But if we look at it like, nah, what do I need to learn from this? Right? I don't have to win. I need to learn, because that we're molding future adults, right? Future members of society. So if we can't get them, if we can't listen to them, what does that say about the rest of the world and through their eyes? You know what I'm saying? That's my final thought.
P.
When I had that conversation with Justice, before it started, I had to take myself back to my grandmother. I asked him, I said, yo, let's come in the room and let's talk. Before he got up off of the computer to walk into the room, I put my face in the bathroom. I looked in the mirror and I said, you are not your grandmother. Remember how mean she was. I literally said this under my breath. You are not your grandmother. Remember how mean she was to you. You are not your mom. Remember some of those things. And the reason why I did that is because those things have been so impactful to me. I wanted to see in a moment if that would alter how I approach the conversation. And it absolutely did. It absolutely did. It changed how I received the conversation, how I presented myself, and I'm glad, because I think sometimes you can have things that go on, and in the moment where you need to be reminded of that trauma or issue that you have, it's out the window due to whatever is going on in the exact moment. So I was really happy to see that, thinking about how I was treated, thinking about having people who were responsible for me being mean to me during times where I needed them to be nice. It really altered how I approached my conversation with my son. So my final thought is slow down and in the moment think about the situation that's, kind of influenced your behavior. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's what you need as a catalyst, because that was what I absolutely needed in that moment to present myself as a different version to my son. So, just don't be afraid to stop in a moment and analyze everything around you and your situation before, like, keeping forward in that moment. Just take a break. Figure out who you want to be in that moment and how you want to present yourself, and use whatever thoughts or motivation you have behind it in order to,
Yeah, another way to
get to
say
that
that
point.
is what your child needs at that point
Yeah.
from you.
Yeah.
Like who they need you to be in that moment.
And whatever you need to think of in order to be
Right.
that person, do it.
Right. For me, fellas, I think it was a bunch of different. I wish I had my pad. I would have took some notes. I get it for the next joint, but I think one is identifying our traumas is not enough.
That's very good.
That's huge.
You know what I'm saying? Two, as important as it is to listen, I think it's even more so important to really manage your response. And three, I think I'm just thankful, yo. Like this, our conversations are normally smooth or whatever, but this didn't feel different for y'all. Like it was
No,
kind
it
of
did.
like, something was different about it. And I don't think it was the space. Like something was different about this particular conversation.
You don't think like the professional crew that we got recording this was different?
Yeah,
No.
it could have been, but that's not. But that's
These
not what
plush
my
chairs
feeling
we're
is right
sitting
now.
in.
Nevertheless, man, I appreciate y'all boys. Shout out to Malcolm Media, Malcolm Sports again, my man PC. Per usual, y'all, you can find us on all social media outlets at All Black Men Need Therapy. Hit us up at Gmail, allblackmenneedtherapy@gmail.com. We have a new voice line. Where
Yes.
you guys can hit us up.
I'm about to
Our
tell.
number, I believe, is
Don't get it wrong.
860-410-6160.
Say it
Tell me
again.
I'm right, Bell.
Say it again.
860-410-6160.
Wow, I'm
Yeah?
impressed. 410606.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I
'cause you
had
posted
to, I had
it,
to
though.
pull
It's
up
only 'cause I remember
Instagram.
it on the bottom of your post. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Nevertheless, that's us, y'all. Do us all a favor. Hug a black man today
Do that shit.
and tomorrow.
Do that shit.
We out.
Peace.